address the Michigan versus Michigan State game this past Saturday. And I thought, I took a step back for a second. I was like, we've gone through this. We've had a great season. We were 7-0. It was the first time both these teams, Michigan and Michigan State, had been 7-0 meeting during the regular season. It's the first time it's ever happened. Last time they were undefeated, I don't know how long it's been. But I thought about, I'm going to just take the soft, settle approach and just recap some of the game that stood out to me. That was like, screw it, I'm freaking pissed. Okay? Let me just start by saying this, all right? That game was atrocious. And I always hate to blame the referees for what happens. And I'm not going to. I'm not going to say that's the reason why we lost, okay? I'm not going to do that. Because that's kind of a scapegoat type of move. Like, I always say this. If you're good enough to win the game, you can't let the referees dictate the outcome. I've always said that. Except for 2016 when JT Barrett was short. That, the ref screwed us. Okay? Looking back on, I personally believe that Kenneth Walker was bobbling the football when he was going into the end zone. And, hey, they reviewed it, said he wasn't. Fine. I don't believe it, though. The second fumble that happened where, Ojabo has sacked Kenneth Thorne, and then Aiden Hutchinson recovered a fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. That was a fumble. All right. I don't understand what the refs were seeing. That ball was moving before the shin hit the ground. Okay. Michigan fans will say otherwise, of course. Just like Ohio State fans will always say that JT Barrett was never short. Like he was. Like if you don't believe it, people will even say it still to this day that are not Michigan fans. Or like they say he's short. So just deal with that. Let's talk about, I want to go through everything about this game from a Michigan fan standpoint. Because kudos to Michigan State. Like, you guys won the game. Congrats to you. Do I think the better team won? No, I don't. Do I think the better team... I think if you look back on it, stats show that Michigan was more in favor. As far as the stats, that they should have won the game, right? But key factors played into the factor, right? Turnovers. As Michigan fans all year, we want to see more and more of J.J. McCarthy. Oh, should he play more? Should he be the starter, right? And then we saw more. We saw a nice touchdown pass to Anthony. First off, Anthony, number one for Michigan. Where's this dude been? This dude's a stud. And he's been on the bench. And then he goes in and has a 93-yard touchdown, catch and run, and he takes off and we don't see him. We haven't seen him the whole season. This kid's a stud. He's ready to he's ready to take the next level. Him and JJ and Donovan Edwards, those three guys are the next 3 years for this team. At least 3 years. Let's go back though. JJ. We want to see more of JJ, right? We want to see more of him. What was he doing when he fumbled that football? What was he doing? When he fumbled the handoff, what was he doing? We saw more of him. And we saw too much. We saw too much of J.J. McCarthy. I did not understand why he was in the game when he fumbled the handoff. That was a turning point. Believe it or not, that was the turning point of the game. J.J. McCarthy fumbling that handoff between him and Blake Corum, that's on the quarterback. That's always on the quarterback. Why? Because the running back's job is to keep his eyes up, see the hole, see anything coming through with his hands and his arms like this, getting the handoff. Going to your left, your right elbow's up, bam. Takes the handoff. That was all on JJ. And that cost us the game. Now, it's not the only reason why we lost, clearly. Like the pass interference that should have been called wasn't. Cool. Am I being a little, biased towards Michigan? Of course. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt that says it. Duh. But just take a look back. The calls that did not go our way, Michigan State got a lot of the calls their way. We didn't. But I won't use that as an excuse to why, as the excuse to why we lost, because clearly something's wrong here. Like, I was talking with someone, and we were talking about, if we win out and we lose to Ohio State, we'll be 10-2. Like, is that what we're about at this point? Here's the issue. If we are 10-2 and we're losing to, like, we have an upset happen during the year, right? We lose to, like, Illinois, Indiana, whatever. Like, we lose to those teams. But the other wins include Ohio State and Michigan State. I think as Michigan fans, we would at least be happy about that, would we not? If we are losing to our rivals that are now playing top-tier football, what does that have to say? We have to beat these guys. You have to beat your rivals. You have to at least beat Ohio State. Like, if Michigan wins out and we beat Ohio State, and we don't know what happens then, but you bring Harbaugh back if you beat Ohio State. I've said this before. I know I've said this so many times. We can't keep settling for 10-2 if it's those two losses against your rivals. I can't keep settling for, hey, we were 11-1 and we lost to Ohio State, because they are the reason why we can't go any further. And the question always comes up, who else is out there? Maybe someone that can beat the rivals? Do we know if Harbaugh is good enough to beat these rivals? Do we know? Yes. Was he a muffed snap away from beating Michigan State his first year? Absolutely. Was he a JT Barrett was short play away from making it to the Big Ten title game, and then who knows what happens after that? Absolutely. But that was then. What have we seen recently? Blowout losses against Ohio State the past couple of years. A 24-point favorite losing to Michigan State last year at home, and then this. So it's like, how much more do you want? I've said this the whole time. I said this before the season even started. I would rather lose every game and then beat Ohio State instead of vice versa. Ohio State's always the reason why we are never getting farther. And yeah, I know I'm ranting about Michigan State losing that game, but just hear me out. I've supported Harbaugh. I can't anymore. I cannot. I want to. I really do. What will get me back to being supportive of him is beating Ohio State. If we lose to them this year, it's just done. Like, I don't know what else to say. We lose to them again, that would be what? 6, 7 losses? I don't even know how many, but like that he's had. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20 didn't play. So it's 0-5. He'd be 0-6. So, what? Like, we want to keep dealing with these losses? No, I don't. I can't stand it. And let me just say this. I know our guys played their hearts out. You can say they did, and I do believe they did. But where we had our guys in position and the play calling by Michigan as well. Stop running the ball on first down. Last thing I'll say, clearly Cade McNamara is our starting quarterback. He's got the arm. Yes, JJ has probably a better arm. But we saw what could happen. He had 2 fumbles and lost one. The young freshman mentality and the young high school of, I did this in high school, doesn't always work in college. So we saw that, and that's kind of the issue. And I just want to say, it's kind of sad that now I'm like fully behind McNamara as a starting quarterback with his arm talent, and it took a loss to Michigan State to really be behind them. Like, that's me. How sad is that? But all I can say is if we beat, I don't even care what happens the rest of the way. If we beat Ohio State, I'm fine. Like, that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else but beating Ohio State. So we'll see if that happens.